Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Is there an echo?
I don't hear one. Do you hear one?
I hear boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I hear that. Is there anyone here in the chat? Do you guys hear an echo?
I don't hear that.
Okay. Well, I'll just like ignore it. It's very subtle. It's not loud. Okay, so let's do this again. Welcome, Sunny. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, Scorpio Moon. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm frazzled, but I'm okay. I hope everyone else is doing well.
Yes, it's been a crazy long week.
It really has. Okay. So, as people are coming into the chat, I'm going to go ahead and ring the meditation singing bowl and then we can get started.
Where is my thingy?
I know, right?
Oh, here it is.
Okay. All right. So, let's go back. There's a lot that's in here. I actually hear myself echoing a little bit. Um, Not actually my name. You said I do want union. I had a bad experience that had you panicking, but it's okay now. Strong again with lessons learned. And hello, Shabaka. Yo, ladies. Yo, Shabaka.
Yeah, Shabaka, you're the star of the show. Thank you for my lovely hat. I love it. I've been wearing it. It's been really cold here. Scorpio Moon has a much sassier way of wearing hers, and I haven't figured out yet. But
hmm
it's
And
warm, and I love it. And thank you. It was the just made my month, my winter. I really for you to go to the trouble means an awful lot.
yes, and I wanted to add that I wanted to come prepared with your hat, but I could not find it. I lost it, and I'm gonna find it. Okay, Shabaka. I love it so much. I was wearing it all over the place, and I misplaced it, and I can't find it. So,
That's why we
um,
were a little behind.
yeah, that's the reason why we're a little bit delayed was because I was panicking. Also, I couldn't find your hat. I was like, "Where is it? Oh my god!" But yeah, I love it. And I have
I
to
do too.
say, it is the best knitted hat I've ever had in my life.
Me
I
too.
I kid you not. I've had many people give me like beanies and knitted hats, and they're my sweetest, bestest friends. And your hat by far surpasses
It
everyone's
is the best.
knitted hat. So if you guys are interested in Shabaka's knitted hats, I believe she calls it Turks and Beanies. You can visit her on IG, and it is MLE_knit.
And tell me about this cool little tag.
Oh yeah, so she has like her own leather branding. I've
I love
noticed
it.
that she stitched on the side of her
Don't mind if
hat.
I wear it tonight. It's cold.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, honey. If I had mine, I would be wearing mine also. And I have like the textiles that she used for the hat. So it's 45% ultrafine merino wool, 25% baby alpaca, 15% yak, 15% mulberry silk, and she put hand wash only. So I don't know if you guys can see it. I know the light's all in my face, but yeah, no bleach, no tumble dry, no iron.
It's
That's
the
really cute.
bestest. It's the
Yeah,
bestest.
I love it a lot. So I hope you guys go ahead and check her out and get your custom knitted hat. So, okay, so like with that being said, we have a full moon, right? A full moon.
Tonight the moon is in Cancer. The full
Mhm.
moon is on Sunday the 5th. And for the West Coast, it's like 10:30 or so in the morning. Let's see, what did I say? It's 10:30 a.m. for you and 1:30 p.m. on the East Coast. It'll be in Leo. So it's a Leo full moon. And I have 5 planets in Leo. So, um,
You're feeling it.
you know, it's been intense to say the least. Lots of things going on. And when I mean that, I don't mean anything negative other than there's a lot of activity, right?
Mhm.
Lots of different jobs and work. And um, so a Leo full moon, Leo is ruled by the sun, thus the sunflowers tonight. These were at the grocery store last night. It's the dead of winter, and I just thought they were beautiful, and they brought a cheeriness to the office. And Leo is all about the heart. It rules the heart and upper back of the body. Leos are very driven and determined about, you know, getting to the truth. Uh, I'm going to repeat something that I've repeated on your show last time we had a Leo transit, but it's worth repeating because it explains how different regions of the world study astrology. There are different systems to calculate the speed of planets. Um, Different mathematicians over the centuries had different methodology. And so I only have this perspective because I did study astrology on the Greek island of Kos, where it's believed in 20 BC, the first school of astrology began. Kos is where Hippocrates taught. It's where the first known hospital existed. And so, in other parts of the world, astrology has a lot more validity. It's a part of the heritage in lots of parts of the world. And here in America, it's always been somewhat of a parlor game, or some um, negative connotation by some interpretation of the Bible, which I've done workshops on astrology in the Bible. There's actually a lot of astrology in the Bible. And so everybody does a twist and turn about whatever platform they have. And, but here in the Western astrology, Leo is considered very vain and obsessed with mirrors, bossy, brash, um, bully kind of. And so I couldn't be farther from that. So, of course, I've always sought, you know, why the disconnect. Um, so, when I studied in Greece, Leo is considered to be very insecure, and this connection to mirrors is because they look at others to adjust their own behavior. There's, a lot of actors and actresses have strong Leo, and it's this disconnect between they can be out in front of a group of people, but terrified to do that. I have done a lot of public speaking in my career and my life and different, teaching and stuff in front of large groups. Uh, I'm not at all comfortable with that. So it's sort of a disconnect that we're perceived as, big drama and like attention, but inside we're very insecure and always looking to adjust our behavior to be accepted, right? So what do you give Leo? Anything they're so grateful that you would even think of them. So there's a real difference in how Leo can be perceived. And certainly there are big bully Leos. Just like any sign, it can be expressed different ways. This one's close to me because I have a really strong Leo chart that basically is all the emphasis on profession, the part of the chart that's about profession. And that has been the sole focus of my life, basically. I never settled down to have kids and family. It's always been about travel and career and um, somewhat of an entrepreneurial spirit. I've tried a lot of different businesses.
So I
I've
have a
never,
question. Are Leos business orientated, or is that
yes,
okay? Because
yes.
I noticed that there are some Leos that are work driven, but I didn't know if it was because of other placements in their chart.
I think it has to do with the heart, right? It rules the heart. And
Mm-hmm.
so strong Leo people tend to want to follow their heart instead of their head. You know how there's always that saying, do you follow your head or your heart? Well, Leos are
Mm-hmm.
going to follow their heart, and that can often come off as um, bizarre, or people don't understand that because someone with a lot of air, um, intellectual kind of energy, if it's not logical, you don't do it. And when you're following your heart, a lot doesn't seem logical, but you're following your heart. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what uh, oh, thank you. You're so kind, Teresa. I really appreciate that. I'm very insecure, believe it or not. I mean, Leo is also the clown, we
Yeah, a lot of them are really funny.
kind of
I've
goofy.
noticed.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's all part of a nervousness that comes out of insecurity.
Um.
Um, Let it drop like, okay, I was wondering about that because I've done it both ways. Do you even fold it at all?
Mhm.
Like that?
I
You like it
folded
like that
mine.
better? I thought tonight we'd try it different ways and y'all can tell me how you like it better. I love it, Chewbacca. You just made my winter with it.
Uh-huh.
So this Leo sun has some other aspects going on with it that we're going to talk about. Um, I think it was 2 cycles ago, we were talking a lot about Chiron, which is very much like a Jupiterian Sagittarius energy, the traveler, the intellect, the centaur, somewhat of a protective energy. And so this is trining Chiron, and a trine is 120 degrees. It's considered lady luck. So maybe I'm thinking of younger people coming out of high school looking at colleges. This is the kind of energy that brings scholarships and grants good luck with getting into institutions of higher education. If you're, a working adult with a career and you've been looking, for a job in university or going back to school, this is that kind of energy where it kind of just happens. It just falls in your lap. That's what trines do. They just fall in your lap, and Lady Luck is with you. And you have to be, the other thing about Leo is it's brave. It's the lion. It's courageous. They will go to a lot of extremes to protect those they love. They will battle through adversity. They don't fold easily. It's a fixed fire energy, so that makes them opinionated. And, um, that's kind of the joke I make on myself about opinions is as I've gotten older, when I was younger, I was very hard headed and very opinionated. And as I've gotten older, I don't volunteer my opinion unless I'm asked because once I have an opinion, you're not going to wait. You're not going to change me from that mindset. That's
Uh-huh.
that fixed, you know. So I try to keep my opinions to myself, and when I'm asked for an opinion, I let people know, like, you know, you might not agree or like what you're going to hear, but I'm going to tell you from my heart how I really feel.
Mhm.
And I would say to Leo energy, honesty and loyalty are probably the priorities. Loyalty to a fault. Uh, Leos will be loyal to people that don't think twice about being loyal back. And that just is some kind of, it's something to do with that, just wanting, you know, to protect, like the pride, you know, lions. Um, they herd in what's called a pride. And ironically, Leo people have a lot of pride. So through work is what gains that feeling of worthiness. And unfortunately, maybe the balance in a checking account can directly relate to how you feel about yourself, which we shouldn't do that, but it is true. And so also, so the trine to Chiron is really great for if there has been classes you've wanted to take, or a new direction of study, or plan a trip. You know, it's about travel and higher education. It's a spiritual connection. You know, if you've been feeling in your heart like there's a trip you want to take, even if it's like a day trip. You know, so many of us live in areas that have so much fascinating history and things right in our hometown that we just take for granted and don't look to. And you know, I've been trying to encourage myself and encourage others to, you know, look close to home for educational opportunities about history. And you know, what is in your region, what's natural to your region. um, so that's exciting. There's also, um, we're on Friday. The full moon is actually on Sunday, and right now we are in a moon opposing Pluto. So by Sunday, we're going to have been coming out of it. But right now, moon opposing Pluto can be very disruptive. You might suddenly change your direction, that you made a decision about one school and decided to do another. This just came to my mind, and it's a perfect example. So being the heavy Leo that I am, one year, it was like 2007, I believe, I did the responsible thing to refinance my home to do siding and windows, right? Perfectly responsible, practical, good investment. And at the last minute, I came across a certification to learn how to teach ballroom dance. Leos love creativity and love, I've always been a dancer. I've taught it, I've competed. It's been my thing since I was 3 years old. And and so I took the money that should have made an investment back into my home on a piece of paper so that I could teach dance in a more like sort of legitimate type of genre. So that is what I mean about, you spontaneously may have made a decision about doing one thing, and then all of a sudden you like go off and do something like art classes or dance classes, or I like it down over my ears. So anyway,
I have a question about that.
sure.
So what was the outcome?
Oh, well, it was a real intense course, 2 years. And I worked at two or three different dance studios. And then by like 2011, we were into another recession. And
Oh,
so people were not spending money much on dance lessons or anything frivolous. People would
mhm.
still spend money on their kids to do dance. And but I was always into you know, adult ballroom dance. So it kind of petered out. And but I've never regretted doing that. And um, what ended up happening, so the kind of the theme around dance studios, every Friday night there's a dance party, and the idea is that you are marketing for the studio to get new students. So if you throw a party and give a free lesson and put out some refreshments, people mingle and hang around. And the real serious business model of a dance studio is to sell packages of dance lessons. So, to get someone a commitment, a weekly commitment to show up for classes, and that's what you want to develop, are your students to go to local competitions. And we used to go around to nursing homes and do little recitals, or we'd hook up with a school that was doing some kind of entertainment, and we do some dance displays or whatever. But what ended up at the end, which is why it kind of petered out for me, is it just ended up being a bunch of women, and we were doing line dancing because there were no men showing up.
Well, yeah, unless the guys that were showing up for ballroom dancing were a little effeminate, right?
And then that just got fewer and fewer, and I was spending money on refreshments and setting up. And there I did have a group of ladies that wanted to learn the thriller dance for their kids around Halloween. And uh, that was really weird. But anyway, I haven't been involved in several years. Of course, around my house when no one's looking, I love to dance, and I love playing loud music, and housekeeping to dance music.
Oh,
But
that's the best time when you're doing household chores.
right, right, and so, my point, I'm trying to make the point that this moon opposite Pluto could mean a total change in direction, right? Pluto is total change, it's extremes. So it's that Cancer, moon Cancer, Pluto Capricorn axis. So it can involve family, it can involve work, it can involve, you know, things that are deeply emotional, that Cancerian, I want to be nurtured. That's the moon. So that's ruled by the moon. So it's
That
very
was funny
emotional.
because Luna, she was getting my attention earlier and she was getting all emotional. I said, "No, honey, you gotta go." Like,
Yeah. Hold it back. Hold it back.
yeah, you gotta wait a couple hours. Um,
Well, so interesting. Um, Then we also have, along with the moon opposing Pluto, Venus and Mars making a square to each other. And squares are when planets are 90 degrees apart, and they are more of the inner tension. That's more of what we do to ourselves. So, the thing to remember there is that you can decide not to stress yourself out about something. It's
mhm.
not like oppositions are generally another energy, some sort of karmic influence that is involved. You're not in complete control of what that change is, or what's going to shift. But with a square, it's all on you. It's you doing it on you. And so knowing that if you're feeling stressed out, and so Mars Venus is all about the masculine and feminine within yourself. It can be a masculine and feminine relationship, but it's the stress is controllable. You can decide, I'm not going to let this jack me up, or I'm not going to let this get to me. You can shift the energy in a square. So that's kind of hairy right there. Moon opposite Pluto, Venus, Mars square. We've got Mercury coming along in a wide conjunction to Pluto. So Mercury is how our mind works. And in Greek mythology, that was the only deity that could come and go between the earth and the underworld without any kind of test or toll or payment. It's somewhat androgynous, Mercury is, right? It's not male or female, it's, godlike, and it's all about disseminating information, communicating. And I don't know if you remember the myth about Hades or Pluto, depending on whether you're talking Greek or Roman, kidnapped Persephone, who was a beautiful goddess. She was the daughter of Demeter, and took her to the underworld. She was like a fair maiden. She was seduced and kidnapped to the underworld. And her mother became so outraged that that's how we came to have a barren winter where the fields would not grow. Uh, and Zeus, with Mercury, struck a deal between Hades and Demeter to allow her daughter Persephone to spend 6 months out of the underworld and 6 months in. And that is the mythology of our seasons, how we get spring and summer when Persephone is with her mother, and on the earth she's growing flowers and making things, you know, beautiful and in growth. And then for fall and winter, she goes back to the underworld to be with Hades. And that's when winter, sort of clears the land and everything becomes cold and barren for 6 months, thereabouts. So that's kind of the mythology. And Mercury was the only god that could travel like that between planes. So myths have an effect on us psychologically. So, Mercury in our chart and how we look at it in astrology has to do with our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. So, if you're looking at a wide conjunction to Pluto, you might be bringing up old fears. You might be bringing up old wounds because Mercury is communicating between the subconscious, where we bury things, and bringing it out to the conscious mind. So you might be triggered by something, that you had long forgotten or thought you were over with. Uh, so it's really, uh, it's really an interesting energy about soul searching, evaluating. And so let's see, after that, the thing about Mercury conjunct Pluto also is it brings, when I say triggers, that can also mean inspirations, right? So it doesn't, when I say trigger, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get all in a funk. Not that that's not a complete possibility under this energy, but the levity and the clowning of a Leo sun full moon, hopefully, you know, Leo also connects to children and can be very childlike. So one of the best antidotes for depression is to reinvent something you enjoyed as a child and uh, somehow make it work for you as an adult, whatever that might be. So it's a very good weekend for being creative. If you've never slapped paint on a canvas or tried needlework or, done something just, an arts and crafts. That's a really good way to work out any kind of nervousness or especially knitting. It's so funny. I'm sitting here in my new knitted cap from Chewbacca and talking about being creative with your hands. So um, anyway, it's a really busy time. And what I'm getting ready to put up on lionmountainhealing.com is an article about the month of March, because the month of March is going to really bring significant change in the atmosphere, because Pluto will be leaving Capricorn and going into Aquarius. And that's a totally different kind of energy. And what it has to do with is people getting more into community, right? Into community projects, community environmental awareness, where we've been somewhat secluded and separated from each other for the last few years for whatever reason. That reclusive kind of energy that Capricorn can be because they're busy working and not around people. Well, Aquarius is all about groups and associations and friends and wanting to help.
That's really funny because we were talking about that before we got on live,
It's
how I
true.
was expressing that, I've been working solo, guys, for about 14 years. I'm dying to work with a group of people. Like, I want to surround myself with others and like-minded individuals and work as a team. And it's like a breath of fresh air for me. I feel it. I know it's around the corner. And it's exactly what you said. I'm feeling in the month of March, it's going to happen. So there
Well,
might be some new energies, guys, you know.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of shifting we're on the precipice of. Mercury was retrograde with Gemini for an extended period of time. So, we've kind of been in a stuck nature with the retrograde, and Mars was also retrograde a long time. Um, and then we also start with the spring into eclipse season. What do eclipses do? They trigger energy to move forward. So I think that February is sort of like, see, the groundhog saw his shadow today, which means 6 more weeks of winter, but he's only 39% correct. And where I'm at on the East Coast next week, they're calling for like weather in the 60s, which is unseasonably warm. Although right now and this week we had snow yesterday, so a lot of extremes in energy in weather patterns. So,
Oh,
um,
wow. It's warm over here.
is it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's warm for here. We don't have that much snow. It's windy today, but
It
yeah.
was windy here too and cold, really cold.
Mhm.
So, the Leo full moon, the moon opposite Pluto, the Venus Mars square, and Mercury conjunction to Pluto uh, is about deep reflection. It's about evaluation of where you are in your path, making plans for, you know, where do you want to be? And everybody kind of has a different idea of, should you ask, where you're going to be a year from now, 5 years from now. In astrology, the practice is basically your solar return. So once a year around your birthday, to get your chart updated and a look at the year ahead is pretty much a standard practice. You certainly can look for years ahead of time, but what is that saying about, today is called the present because it's a gift and we need to enjoy, the present time and not have, pain over the past and not have anxiety about the future. Love it.
I know, right? I was about to say thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's true too.
It's been a while,
So
hasn't
have you
it?
been doing new creative bath products?
Yes, I have one, that I have, I don't have it here with me, but basically it's a bath bomb and it has a puffy heart in it.
Oh,
And, yeah, and the outside is kind of like basic color, but then it color changes as it gets closer to the heart.
oh, nice.
Yeah, so there's the intention of clearing your body. Also in Tibetan Buddhism, this is the time it's called the blessing, shower the blessings. and they do it around the new year, every new year. And so it has like a lot of use around this time, not only for Valentine's Day, but also about, clearing yourself, your body, your spirit, your mind.
Right.
And it's kind of like a sense of renewal. So very much like in the spiritual community, how we take our spiritual baths. In Tibetan Buddhism, it is actually a legitimate thing.
Cool.
So it's amazing. It's actually on my Etsy shop. If you guys know, just go to Scorpio Moon Intuition, you'll find it there.
Cool. Well, and right after Valentine's is Mardi Gras. There's a lot
Mhm.
of history in Mardi Gras about how it is about your faith and um, your honesty, your integrity. Those are all the celebrations of a year of wealth and health and well-being. Uh, so yeah, February is a cool month with those kinds of acknowledgments and celebrations. And the sun will change signs. Is it around the 20th? Let's see. What are you laughing about?
Oh, Shabaka saying titties. I like, where are you seeing titties, honey? is, is it me? I'm like trying to cover up.
Well, so we have the sun going into Pisces the 18th of February, and our new moon in Pisces will be the next day. So that Piscean energy, I wanted to talk a little bit about Neptune tonight because it plays into some of this energy. It is currently in the sun, in its home sign of Pisces, which makes it more intense. And Pisces is my initial what I wanted to say, and then I was stopping myself, is it's a real Dickens,
Mm-hmm.
um, because it is about illusion and fantasy and dreams. So expressed in a highly spiritual manner, it can manifest, you know, your dreams. In a low vibration, it can, have addictive behavior, whether it's food or alcohol or drugs. It's a very empathic energy. So that's what can drive Pisces to addictions, is because they feel everybody's feelings. And unless they've made an effort to how to, um, you know, express their spirituality in a way of being having empathy for people, but not taking it on, um, that's determines how that energy expresses itself. So we've had Venus very close to Neptune, and when it comes to love and romance and relationships, Venus Neptune, this is what I've witnessed. So that's the energy of the rose colored glasses. You meet someone and you see them one way, and it's usually very romantic and dynamic. And then, as that relationship between the two planets separates, the clarity comes to the vision, right? The rose colored lenses come off, and you may see that person as having a true to God, you know, addiction that they've been hiding. So
Mm-hmm.
the thing about Neptune and Pisces is when,
I'm sorry, I'm just reading Shabaka's comments. And it
oh,
says, I'll give you beads if you show me titties. Sorry,
yes,
that's back on that Mardi Gras bit, but go
yes.
ahead. And also, in regards to Pisces, my brother has a sweatshirt and he's a Pisces, and it has in big letters, it says your feelings. Okay. But on the Y, there's a stick figure that is like humping the Y. So it's pretty much like your feelings. So
Yeah,
that's pretty much like how his energy is, because he's very um empathetic, and he can feels everyone's
yeah.
energy. He's more than I am, and I was like, wow. I was like, well, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? And I could say that my brother is actually more intuitive than I am, in
They
that
can be
regard.
very psychic. Yeah, it rules the psychic faculty. So a heavy Pisces person, and that's where it comes to, owning that energy and not
Mhm.
letting it drive them to drink, to repress it or hide
That
it.
that's the downside. My brother likes to drink too. He shows me all the time, like, his liquor. I'm like, "Oh, okay. So are you, into the alcohol tonight, or are you, sober?" So he kind of flip-flops between the 2. It's either water or alcohol,
Right.
so
They
but
also, it rules the feet, so
mhm,
they can have problems with their feet.
gout, like
Mhm. Uh, so, February is an interesting month. It does have a lot of celebrations and some shifting energy, but I think it's preparing us for even bigger shifts and more things happening as we get certainly March and into the spring. Because when we get into a series of eclipses this spring, um, that's when there's a lot of action. So where we've kind of been in a slow, easygoing, hiccupy kind of energy, it's going to get more hectic, busy. I think that, you've seen
it
some.
really feels like I got, like, pushed, without any kind of say, kind of catapult, I guess, if you will, into like doing things, and like you said, like higher learning and things like that. I'm actually planning to learn 4 different things in the next couple of months. Like, that's a lot.
So
Like,
as Pluto secures its position more in Aquarius, a big, big, big topic will be artificial intelligence.
yes.
And so, how artificial intelligence shapes the future of humanity is sort of equivalent to what the internet did. So, on a practical level, and you've started seeing large corporations have pretty large layoffs. So, that's people re-educating themselves and retraining for where's their niche in society. I think there's a lot of attention towards natural healing, people who can help other people with, you know, both body and psychological aches and pains, meditation, Reiki, massage. Um, so this is not anything new that mankind has not had for millions of years. We've just never, as our souls here and now, have been through this cycle. So, I hope to inspire people to get excited. And if there's been some really latent, like hope or dream that you've thought you could never accomplish, you certainly can, right? This is the kind of energy where anything is possible. You have to believe it and you can achieve it. And that might mean breaking ties with negative friends or people, we all have had experience with groups of friends that they love you when you're down, and you know they don't speak to you when you're successful or doing well. They want to feed on you being down and you know needy, or I don't know what that is in human nature, but you see it all around you where there's just, I guess maybe it's kind of a control thing. Like if you're down and out, you are under control as far as being able to affect them because you're down and out. You can't mess with their,
Well, I think it's manipulation
yeah.
in a way, or having a sense of control, and everything is always about control.
Well,
Um,
and that was like, here's a conversation that you'll probably hear more of, because the energy is about speaking your truth, right? What do you have to lose if you're being honest in your heart and you're communicating it? What do you have to lose? Because if you're being honest, then you're healthy and you're you're solid, right? It's only when you're trying to hide the truth and manipulate others that people lose track of what they said or did, or it's just a lot of drama all the time.
mhm,
Well, this girl at work was telling me about not wanting to go to a funeral, and these people are all in their 40s, and a girl died, and it was a friend of her boyfriend's. They all go back to high school together, so they're revisiting times from 20 years ago. And, you know, whatever clicks and everything have been in their lifetimes, when she goes with her boyfriend to that particular group of people, she ends up sitting by him herself while he's off social butterfly with all the old friends. And it makes her feel bad. And I was like, well, why are you even going? You know, well, I'm going for him. I'm going to show him support. Well, you're not showing him support when he leaves you, and he's completely supported by all these friends that he's wants to spend time with, and he's not aware that you're sitting there alone, not feeling so hot about sitting there alone, right?
mhm,
And so it's that analysis, that deep reflection of, she said, well, that's just the way I've always been, the way I've always done. And I said to her, and I think you'll find you saying this more to people, and the people in our chat will say it more to people, and that is, well, now's the opportunity to change that behavior pattern. If it makes you unhappy to sacrifice what you like to do, thinking you're doing something for your loved one or whatever, and they could give a rip, honestly, and so then when she says to him, I'm not going to go, his manipulation is, well, if you can't stand by me during these life events, when can you stand by me? I mean, how unhealthy is that, right? They've
mhm.
dated for 6 years, and they did live together briefly, but then he moved out, but they date now. It's weird. And so, but my point is, a Leo full moon will make you tell the truth. I probably wouldn't have said that under a Pisces full moon, that's more quiet and reserved. But Leo has a hard time, if they feel passionately about something, keeping their mouth shut. Um,
They're gonna say something about it,
yeah, in
and it
my
may not be
family,
pretty.
I was always the person that said the thing nobody else would say. Everybody thought it and felt it, but nobody would say it. And a Leo will say it.
Mhm, mhm.
And depending on the subject matter will depend on how intensely and passionately it's said. But that little conversation to me was, in a nutshell, these energies that we're about and we're moving into, especially with eclipses, is, if you've been doing something or you've been around a group of friends for some time, and you find that they don't support your highest good, or they make you feel bad, or don't make you feel supported in your goals, you really have to ask yourself, why do you put yourself in that situation? And the whole thing about funerals, it was like I was channeling my inner mother and father, because I said to her, you know, um, my mother would say to you, life is too short to do things you don't want to do. And that's a hard thing, because people feel obligated and, like they're going to help somebody, but you're not helping anybody if it's begrudgingly, right? If inside you're sort of resenting that you're doing something that you don't want to do, that just festers. That's why physical symptoms pop up from those emotions that are not real, they're not true to your nature. And then the second thing was, I said, and my dad used to always say, don't go to any funerals you don't have to go to. And the only ones you absolutely have to go to is if it's a really close blood relative. So, today I asked her, I said, well, have you decided? She's like, very, very, like teeter tottering, like there's that pattern of, but that's what I would always do, is sacrifice what I want to do to make somebody else happy, even if it made me miserable. And then the other side is, I'm really sick and tired of being put in this situation and don't want to do this anymore. So the inner lion, is about roar, roar for yourself, and that protective energy can often be about protect your heart, right? Don't put it out there on the slab for somebody who's just going to use and abuse it or manipulate it. But we all get in patterns with people. Sometimes it takes a major life event to make us change that pattern. I've always thought it was kind of very Saturn, very Chiron, that, you move along your path and you either see the signs and get the spiritual inklings about what's your direction. And if you keep going down the wrong karmic pattern, then something greater will happen that makes a change. So, I think a spiritual journey for us all here is see the signs. If you're getting the sign to do this or do that, don't let the ego fight that. Follow your intuition, even if it means, leaving a friendship of 20 years or leaving a relationship. If
Oh,
it's,
we were just talking about that too,
Mhm.
about my mom and daddy.
Mm.
Wow.
Seems like I was just hearing somebody talk about, oh, yeah, it's this girl. Her father is in the early stages of dementia, and the mother wants to divorce him. And
Mhm.
they're like, in their 70s. They've been married forever. And of course, my first thought was, God, if you made it that far,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I said. I said,
you
"Well,
know,
dang," I was like, "I'm proud of you because, um, I was surprised he lasted that long." And he says, "Well, I love your mama," and I said, "But she is losing her marbles." And I'm like, "Well," and then he's not doing good, like, with his health. And I'm like, "Well, you gotta think about yourself too." And so, in the next week, because I don't know what the planets are going to be in alignment with at that point, but within a week, they'll have their alone time where they can have that heart to heart conversation. And my dad said, hopefully, it would resolve like it always does, because you know how marriages are. You fight and you
yeah.
make up, yeah. But he's been with her and they're in their 70s. And I'm like, well, are we gonna have family vacation? Or he says, well, I don't know. I said, I can take my 50% and go
Oh,
somewhere. I mean,
so,
it's it's
so
not funny,
you can
but it's
tell there's shifts in energy. I mean,
uh
that would only come up, and I think it's coming up with many people,
mm,
if because we're having so many different changes in the planetary energies. alone. And what I was saying about AI is, so, you see these big corporations having massive layoffs and replacing humans with robotics, right? So that's the thing about wanting to be involved in community, to control to what extent do we take the human element out of our lives, right? And it could, and what I believe is things are cyclical, right? So many times over the decades, corporations get too big and then implode, and they break apart. Monopoly will break apart, and then you have your small contractors and family run businesses to get services out to the community. And
Mhm.
then, the cycle is they bond together and they build a big conglomerate. The big conglomerate, you can't compete with it, and the cycle goes on and on. And we're in that cycle of large corporations imploding, so people having to find what they need and services on a much smaller scale. And so, when you support the little man and the ma and pa shops, it's very exciting. Um,
It's
it's
really
just
difficult because now there's a lot of change that's going on, from what I noticed, and and the thing about AI, and I've heard this, from one source, but AI actually even answered the question where, if you rely on AI too much, the codependency, then you could actually lose your ability to make basic decisions. It's like,
that's what I mean about,
hey, hey Siri, can I wipe my ass? Like,
that's what I mean about, it's not necessarily a good thing. There'd be people that would argue that although the internet has connected us all around the world, there's also been a diabolical part of it that has not been healthy for society. It's finding
yeah,
it
like
healthy.
I've noticed this too because with technology, it's like everything that you do on your cell phone, everything that you search for, everything, like even now they're trying to push you to do like biometric scanning, and things like that. Even on iPhones, they do face recognition. Well, basically AI takes all of that information and they know everything about you. Okay. So like, what I do personally on my apps is I always opt out to do the shortcut,
Yeah,
and I manually type things in because I don't want AI to know my whole business. You know what I
right.
mean? And
Sometimes
basically
it feels like they're reading your mind. Like
it
you'll
is.
be thinking something and then it pops up on your phone. It's real weird.
It's just them doing information gathering and piecing everything together to make like a scenario, so to speak,
The one thing that I have noticed that gives me hope for society is people are so influenced by the visual, right? They sit in front of their TVs, and whatever's on TV is going to program their mind. And I was watching like a series of new programs that they were advertising, and it was all, like men and women falling in love, families being together. We've been through decades of sort of independence, like everybody, I'm on my own. I don't need da 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 da, this sort of ferocious sort of dismantling of that family unit, and especially through our educational system and being wards of the state, so to speak, or debt slaves to the state. So, for all of that to sort of implode and allow people to do what's natural, which would be to be in in groups. We're not made to be isolated. And I noticed there was an ad for a movie coming out in March called inside, and it's some dark psychological thriller about somebody who could not leave their home and they were inside and what they psychologically went through. So it's very interesting to see what's being reflected back
Well,
to
that's the
us.
whole programming aspect I've noticed, even with these movies that we're watching on like Netflix and stuff like that. Like more and more AI type movies and stuff is coming out, but it's basically planting the idea, the seed, if you will, about, you know, these narratives that they want to paint. That's why, like you said, you know um once we mention something, then it actually comes into like existence, right?
It's
So
weird, right?
yeah. So we have to be mindful of that. And also I've noticed, because we've talked about this before in the past, and it's about like the organic and inorganic.
Right.
It's come down to that. Like, do you want to go to the tech side and be heavily dependent on technology, or are we going to go organic and like live off the land and totally like not even use
Or
that?
some kind of hybrid,
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah, like a hybrid, and that's where we were at for the longest time, like kind of like a hybrid situation. But now it's like, the balance is off.
Right.
So we have to really be careful, and in our choices and what we do on a daily basis, and not be too heavily codependent on these situations. And then in some instances, I saw where people are like, well, embrace AI. It's going to help you. Don't be afraid of it and all this and that. So I really feel like it's more of a, how do you call it? Like a philosophical, like,
The theology. It's about how, just like we went through this in the 90s with the internet. How will it change society in 20 years?
it's
And
gone by too fast, actually.
well, I was never into video games. I was not brought up on them, but I do notice children who are constantly plugged into video games have a lot of anger issues. So when they're, doing all these videos about killing, seeking, violence, what was that real popular one about auto theft or something? I
Yeah,
mean,
Grand Theft Auto,
a lot of them are about, you know,
sex, drugs.
criminal, performing crimes. And it's like you start, and the parents, economically having to be out just to barely make ends meet. So then strangers are raising the kid and you don't know what they're being taught really. And there's just been a real loss of control of that family unit and family values. And the interesting thing about the Pluto Saturn conjunction at the end of 2019 is that's all about value systems. In the last 3 years, what you just talked about people come down on a theological, you're on this side or that side. That's Pluto and Saturn making you discuss what are your priorities in life? Like, what are, what are your, I absolutely will not do that, or, your ethics.
Mhm.
There's been sort of a open relationship trend in the past years. It kind of hindered back to the 60s where free love, and then there's before that the more Victorian age of, monogamy. And so I forget the author's name, but he wrote that book called A Road Less Traveled. And in his first edition of that book, he swore by monogamy, that the only way a relationship can work is that it's monogamous. And 12 or 13 years later, he rewrote that chapter saying he supported open relationships. So that kind of reflects how our society has been stumbling along. But Pluto is the astrological energy of what are your value systems? What do you want in a relationship or your work place or your family dynamic? And so the fact that we've all been forced to be shut in or take different looks at how we have to get things done or go without um, the manipulations of Big Brother. It's just so many moving parts to it. But I do think that we're past the worst. Pluto destroys everything in its path so that it can be rebuilt back better. And there's no question in my mind as we get further into 2023 and definitely into 2024, we're going to be seeing this rebuilding on a smaller scale of more compassionate value systems. So, you know, things like over the past few years where people, lose friends and family over a theological argument. Like,
Mhm.
they can't come to the holiday table because they're so politically diversive, right?
Mhm.
That has to dissolve, that has to work itself out for people to realize that's that Piscean energy and the Aquarian humanitarian energy that we can disagree and still break bread together.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that sort of harkens on to past times. So it's cycles, is the way I see it. Society goes in cycles.
So
And
this Pluto thing, it's finally on its way out?
well, by in
Well,
March, let me look that up to
like,
give
out
you.
of Capricorn going into Aquarius, but the shift should be a positive one.
It's just a totally different going from an earth to an air energy right there is
Mhm.
different. And we're in, let's see. So Pluto goes into Aquarius. Um, actually, let's see. Capricorn. It's the very first part of March. I can't get my fingers to work. Give me a second here.
Okay.
So Capricorn on March 24th, Pluto makes its first touch to Aquarius. Now, then it will go retrograde in the first part of May. And by the middle of June, it will be back in Capricorn, right? That direct retrograde energy. So Pluto, all the outer planets are retrograde every summer. Those are not new energies. So we'll be getting back into Capricorn, late degrees. So towards the end of summer, you may deal with people and places and things that you're dealing with now, right? The late degrees of Pluto. And so then it goes direct around October the 10th and start moving back forward. And once it gets back to Aquarius, which is in January 22nd of 2024, it stays in Aquarius. So 2023 is the transition between Pluto leaving Capricorn and we'll get a feel for it for a couple of months, March, April, May. It'll station retrograde and back up all summer into Capricorn, and then by mid-January it gets back into Aquarius and will stay. So it's
So we get a little bit of a breather, but not quite.
we're going to get a taste of it, and a whole lot of it's going to be about rebuilding back social mores,
Mm,
humanitarian efforts.
right. No, I like this energy, to be honest, and I'm a
It's
Capricorn, so, like
it's messy. I mean, I think it's everybody kind of spread thin with a lot to do.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
but
because
that's
it
good.
actually gives me more energy to do things, because
Right.
Capricorns, they like to, kind of make plans and get stuff done,
Right.
and if the idea is there, then, we're all for it, you know?
Right.
Um, I like this energy, but I don't want it to go
It's just
backwards.
quicker. You know, we've come out of this 3 years of Pluto Saturn, which is heart wrenching. It's
Mhm,
um, soul, I want to say tearing, I mean, we've all been through a real catharsis of some type on a soul level. How,
mhm,
how do you want it to be? Do you want to continue the same cycles that you've always known, or you have a dream or a vision of the way you want it to be and it should be better? Um, this is the opportunity in this lifetime to change generational patterns. If we're like our mom when it comes to relationships,
oh my
and
god,
it's not ever really produced healthy, loving companionship, this is the energy to decide, you know well, that's not how I'm going to, just like this girl I'm talking about, that uh thinking that she's going to do something for her boyfriend she really doesn't want to do, and from past experiences with that same boyfriend has always end up hurt and in an argument
mhm,
because he's abandoned her, right?
right,
But it's the manipulation of, if you love me you'll come with me, and she does it and then gets abandoned. That's a passive aggressive pattern. It's very manipulative. So that her on this teeter totter is like all of us. I think in some part of our life we can relate to a situation where we know we've done one thing one way always, and it's always, factored out us being dissatisfied or disappointed or hurt, whatever it is, to deciding, what, it's not my responsibility if your feelings get hurt, because I'm not going to let you, I'm not going to be your whipping post anymore.
mhm,
And so in karmic relationships, especially people have been together a long time, that's a real uh, that's a real hard road to go down, but very cathartic, right? Because whether it's a pattern in love or work or family, um, there are archetypes, right? And we have our patterns and ways we do. And sometimes, and a lot of times, people get used to being disappointed, let down. That's their cycle. Well, he's gonna not be reliable, and I'm used to that. And then I sit here alone or whatever. And that's kind of what she's been doing with this guy for years, and it's like, at what point do you decide that that doesn't make you happy and you're the only person responsible for making yourself happy? And if that person who's constantly trying to manipulate you emotionally, right? I mean, if you can't stand by me during a life event, when can you? I mean, how contrived is that? But see, I'm 20 years older. I can look at it and say, "Oh my God, please stop. You're killing me here."
you
But
can go.
but what she said today was, when because she recognizes that, and she'll say, "But I'm not there yet." So I
Yeah,
guess
I know it's hard. It's a level of attachment that, if you love somebody and they may not even treat you like in the best light, there's that attachment that the person may have, and that's a hard thing. It's
it
not
is,
easy to let go.
especially when they've never been on their own. a big
Oh, yeah,
part.
always being in a relationship just for the sake of having somebody,
Right.
and then yeah, I talk about all the time in the readings, just because, you're always with somebody and, you break up, you don't just go back out there on your dating app and go look for the next victim. Nobody wants that crap because basically you're looking for the same thing and nobody wants to save you.
Right.
They just want a piece of ass and,
Right.
get on to the next victim. Like, and then if they see that you're a broken person, they're not
Yeah.
going to be like, oh, well, let me take care of you.
Right.
No, it's
Today.
not like that. And a lot of women, they're like, "Oh, really? Oh my God." Yes, no, don't do that, because they know that you're just temporary.
Right. It's
So,
interesting how we are in such times of change because you can talk about Pluto being about change, but it really doesn't make sense until you just start seeing it all around you. And
and also the repeat patterns, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and you're not getting results that you want, then
right,
what does that mean? And a lot of people, they don't want to know the truth because it's hurtful. We
yeah,
know. I've been there too myself where, I was kind of like in a denial, like, but
it's
it's
just
okay. It's,
part of learning, part of deciding what you want, and deciding to stay in the same pattern is okay too. I mean,
oh yeah, I
the
mean
whole thing
that's your
about
karma. If you want to stay in it, go ahead,
the whole thing about a spiritual journey is no judgment, and
Mhm,
allow people to be who they want to be, and letting go of that I'm going to fix them, or I'm going to heal them, or I'm going to
mhm,
make them see a different way. You have to just allow people to be who they are,
and it
and
may
wish them
take
the best.
forever. Yeah, it may
I mean,
not be a couple months.
that's one of the um, how to be abundant kind of exercises is, or if you're starting your own business and worried about clients, it's all about there's more than enough for everybody, and you wish abundance and success for everyone,
Mhm,
and it brings it to you, that feeling like competitive, or someone's going to get something you don't, is very self-defeating. And you've been self-employed a long time. I was self-employed a long time. And just that concept and affirmation that I am abundant, my family and my friends are abundant, that took me a long way. And it's just a mindset of there's enough for everyone. And when everyone is abundant, we are abundant. And getting out of that sort of ego of, well, I've got to have it, and if they have it, they're taking it from me. I mean, that's all just illusion. And the
mhm,
reality of it is the universe is abundant, and there's more than enough for all of us. And the more we wish and affirm abundance and love for each other, the more we manifest it in our lives. And so that's a big part of this energy too, is, you know, not harboring any resentment or hurt or anger for anybody you think took something from you, or I have a whole string of shitty bosses from years that, you know every time I hear their name or something comes up, a memory from that experience, I've tried to learn that, yep, that was that, and not harbor any sort of heartburn about it, because that doesn't, I it could be boyfriends too. I mean, they're not sitting there worried about how they cheated on you or whatever. Or my last boss before this one had been underpaying me, and he wasn't thinking about he was doing wrong. He was saving money. So, I think you said it well about, people really, don't think about you, really. I mean, you have to. be well within yourself before you can help others. And
Mhm.
sometimes that dynamic has gotten twisted where people's focus is outside of themselves on others and they're a wreck on their own. So, we all have to go through the
Well,
dark
like you
night of the
said, like,
soul.
with, Leo energy, it's just, it's how you look at your situation. You could look at it in a very negative light or a positive light, and, if you take the high road and say, "Hey, everything is gonna be okay," but not be, like, in that Piscean energy, like like this is a fantasy or anything like that,
Right.
but just really feeling confident at least, before we get into that Piscean stage, I think
Yeah.
it is enough to
Well,
get us through this
the
week.
the positive expression of Pisces is deeply psychic and spiritual. Like,
Mhm,
you can really have some great epiphanies when you tune into your own intuition and allow spirit to speak to you. Allow your subconscious mind to bring information to the conscious mind. That whole Mercury coming from the underworld to bring information out into the light for you.
mm.
And so it's a great time. I brought out in honor of Leo, because Leo is all about gold. I brought out the black and gold edition of Tarot.
And I have I don't have the tarot cards, but I can use this. This is kinda golden.
Yeah.
It's right here. I don't know what it's called. I
I
think
don't
it's
know how well these are going to show up on in the light, but they are black and gold. They're pretty.
oh, Shabaka has a question for you, Sonny.
Oh, let's see
Yeah,
here.
she says, "What is your spiritual take on chains?"
Self manifested, right?
So
So
she has a specific chain. It had 2 hooks, one like a hook on each side. What do you think that means?
your choice. It's the what's the card? It's the nine of rods, nine of wands,
Mhm,
where
mhm.
they're loosely bound and can easily walk out. So I think it's only what you make of it. If you think it has power over you and can bind you or chain you, it will. If you realize that you're in control of how the chains bind, okay,
Yeah,
what comes to my mind is this.
okay.
This, I know I get it weird. I get it weird. So, this whole thing in the office about whether this girl goes to this funeral with the boyfriend who she doesn't want to and he's being an ass. She goes to her boss, who's a lady. And he's a very cool lady. And she goes, how do I do this gracefully? Like, get out of going gracefully without causing a big scene. And all her boss said was COVID. So I guess the chains, COVID is what you make it. If you believe it's the big bad devil and, has a power over you, that's what you'll manifest. So I think of the chains as they are what you believe they are. If you believe that they can bind you or keep you from something, they will. If you see it as, say, a device to help hold down a tarp on a truck, which is a practical use for chain,
Mhm.
and has nothing to do with your life and how you feel inhibited to do something. But the spiritual take on chain would be exactly anything else, whether what you bind yourself up with, whether it be excuses. We all have friends. My aunt was the worst. You could not get through a sentence without her saying no. Like, you'd want to, and I'm going through this with my elderly neighbor right now a little bit, where you're trying to, and you might be doing it with your parents. You're
Mhm.
trying to give them suggestions to get them out of their funk, right? Like, oh, well, try, like, he's supposed to do physical therapy. He doesn't feel like doing it. Okay, well, go do it, but go over there and sit and talk with other people. Get out and around and talk to other people. So, it's being aware of how you set yourself up for defeat or sabotage. And so, if you connect a belief to something, um, and I guess the spiritual practice would be like one of your cleansing salt baths, or a or flotation, or some kind, or sauna, some kind of sweat lodge. Every culture has its idea of purification of your energy, um, and allow those chains to dissolve. Like if you feel, for instance, like you'll never get a better job. Oh, I don't have the degree to get that job that I really want, and I'll never get that job. Okay, that is a self inflicted chain. That's a self inflicted um, limitation. And you would ask yourself, are you afraid of success? Are you afraid to succeed? Are you having trouble receiving abundance? So, you know, it can be deeply psychologically, like, why do we inhibit ourselves from receiving beautiful things?
Mhm.
Um, and
I
that,
think I think it's, in regards to the individual, right?
right.
Because I know that with Shabaka's, question, she told me her answer, and she felt like what it meant for her was that she was the one in control who had the power to release the thing that was bound to her. So
Yes.
she said that, "I'm not attached to that keep,
Right.
like,
Right.
so, in regards to a particular person. And so, that's why she had mentioned a good answer. So she agreed with you.
Well, I think that that's right on track. I mean, I think when you have, if you're in chat rooms like this, you're deeply spiritual, right? You're searching in your life for more meaning and symbology. And we all want to know, what's going on, or what is that tick about our pattern that we want to get rid of. Or I still think all of us are fighting generational patterns. If you look at, you know, the feminine energy or the masculine energy in your family lineage, you'll find repeating patterns. And these are the times, the 2000s, basically, for changing generational patterns. But first, you have to be aware of them. And, we all work around and have friends who could give a crap less about the evolution of their soul or a spiritual journey. So that means we spend,
I really wonder about the lost souls. What do you think? What's your take on that? You know
no,
that we
no
have,
soul
like.
is lost. It's just
Mhm,
like the homeless people on the corner begging for food or money. I can't tell you how many times I've approached one of them and offered them work to earn money, and they don't want to work, right?
mhm.
They just want the money. And then there's been like undercover investigations where they're making like 50 grand a year to just stand on a corner. So maybe that's what their mother and father did. Maybe that's what they learned from some family generational idea.
Mhm.
Um, so I think we're in times too where we just have to be careful about making judgments. Like there are no blanket answers. Everyone is, um,
Everyone is different, has a different.
yeah, and on their own path, and may divert from that path. There might not be a straightforward route to one thing, and you've got to go around a lot of elbows and winding creeks, and
I
you know
think I think it's really how your, natal chart is. to be honest. I mean, it helps you to navigate through the
Well, and then
energy.
there's free will because,
Mhm.
we've all had friends who will come to you and ask you for, what would you do, this, and then they just go right off and do exactly what they were going to do anyway,
Mhm.
right? But so the chart is all about potentials, but you have a free will that has absolutely nothing to do with the chart. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Well, very well.
And I just, I don't judge the homeless people. If that's how they want to live their life, more power to them.
Mhm.
I mean, we all are trying to hack out some semblance of calmity, right? Because it's a lot of chaos.
Well, here in Washington, people we have a homeless encampment um, all over in these big metro cities, and one person built a house right in the median.
Yeah,
But
I mean, if you watch some of the interviews with them, they're doing exactly what they want to do.
hmm yeah, well, so the police officer would go out and say, "Hey, well, this is a temporary situation. This isn't like a permanent, location." And they were given information to get like housing assistance. And so I think that's that. So I don't know. It's just
It's
there's
different strokes for
opportunities.
different folks.
Yeah, there's opportunities for them to get that, but, I do know that, maybe for some, they're not there's a waiting list maybe for, the, housing thing. I'm not sure, but,
Well, and it's patterns that they've grown up with. They've seen
mhm.
their relatives live a certain way or be transient or just um, what they've seen. We tend to replicate what we saw as kids, and
Did you see that thing with Jordan Peterson where he was gonna hold, like, his own little thing? You know how the WEF has, like, their own, and
he's
then
an interesting guy, isn't he?
yeah, he's all about, like, everyone, is equal, and, like, he's all for, like, having, like, families, like, a couple, who has, like, holy matrimony, for the kids, not for the sake of a partnership between man and woman, but more so it's about the children, because he's coming at it from a psychological standpoint because a lot of it is from, like, childhood traumas and wounding. And
Yeah,
I really feel like, he's got something there. Like,
yeah.
I was listening to him and he was talking about what he wanted to bring to the table, and it actually makes sense. It's like everyone is equal. There's no one above because it's like with the kind of like utopian society, or the
Right,
ones that have like the big bucks, it's
yeah,
more of a pyramid scheme, right? Uh,
right. A
you know,
Ponzi scheme.
yeah.
Yeah,
And the way that he wanted to put it is that everyone is equal. There is no homelessness out there. Everyone is given, treatment in regards to health. Um, and we all work, to protect ourselves and our land. And it sounds great. So he's having a conference in the UK.
I
Um,
know.
I think around the corner. I'm not exactly sure when, but it's soon. But yeah, okay. So
Interesting guy.
yeah,
Maybe I'll look for his chart information and we can analyze his chart.
okay,
It's
yeah, that
always
sounds.
neat to do a chart of somebody that you can see in the public because you can watch their mannerisms and see what's happening to them. And
Yeah, to see if there is some legitimacy to it, because anybody can say one thing and not really mean it, right?
right,
But from him coming from a psychology background, you
he's
know.
pretty much risked his whole career in licensing to
Oh yeah,
be.
because yeah, the way he explained like the licensing is more of a privilege. It's not
It's
like.
a tax.
Yeah, I was like, "Well, what the heck?" You go to school, it's like, having a medical license,
Yeah,
they can take it away, if you don't follow protocol, so It was really interesting. Okay.
It is interesting. Well, it's going to get more interesting as time goes on, too.
What's that? Oh. Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. Okay,
Well,
so
I was thinking, all the major planets changing signs within a short period of time means different angles will be revealed, different perceptions, different perspectives, things that we thought were one way um, are not. And
did you see that? It actually came out on, I think, a video I watched recently. This lady was talking about like how AI can generate public figures and how
oh,
realistic and believable it is. And I'm like,
yeah,
well, isn't that what's going on already?
right, right, yes, it is coming out. And I think all of us trying to be more authentic to our heart or feelings will will speak out things that maybe we would not have 10 years ago. Like the energy is supportive of say your truth and don't fear. Don't fear repercussion, don't fear being judged, but just as long as it's how you feel, you're protected.
Mhm.
And yesterday, this chickadee at work who's like, a 25-year-old attorney that has comes from a very wealthy family and is pretty contrived.
Altered.
Um, she was talking about some Walt Disney movie and a Disney and this and that about Disney. And I was leaving and I looked at her and said, but Walt Disney was a pervert. I mean, that's the reality of it. She was talking about how Mickey Mouse, when he first came out, was mean. And I'm like, wake up, people. Disney is probably one of the largest child trafficking hubs in the world. There's submarines underneath there. I mean, look how it trains little girls to think about how their life should be with men.
Mhm.
You know, all of those underlying little innuendo in the stories is why we're, all seeking therapy. Kidding, but you know what I'm saying? It's like it's
Mhm.
not a healthy patterning of teaching children. And it's just one of those Neptunian things that you see a fantasy or something is not what it is. And underneath, it's dark. That
Mhm.
whole that whole industry is dark.
Imagine all the people who have tattoos of
Oh,
Disney characters on their bodies and stuff.
she just looked at me and her mouth dropped open and I just kept on walking. I was like, put that in your cap and think about it for a minute. I mean, there's some documentary about him when he was alive and how he'd bring like, 8 and 9-year-old little boys up to this apartment over top of one of those Disney buildings. And hello, old man with young boys. It's
Yeah, it's a
been going
magic
on
kingdom,
for
all right.
thousands of years.
Or it's a small world. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
I
now
mean,
I
it's not
see,
funny,
oh
especially if you're a victim, you know.
no, yeah, right. And there's
But
a lot of them for
yeah.
sure.
Anyway,
It's interesting how much is going to be revealed, and we should be excited. I think our job is to get to the heart of the matter within our own life and what we want, and not let any outside influence dictate that, that we're
yeah,
trying to get to our own truth and have the best of life that we can.
I know, right? It's like, can we be in that simulation where it's like what is that? The Prairie. What's that old TV show? Little House on the
Little House on
Prairie.
the Prairie.
Yeah. Like back in those days when there wasn't like skyscrapers and it's just a bunch of land and go old fashioned, like a house on a hill type situation and having a lassie dog and like
Well, this is kind of a weird thought, but on my Etsy shop, I've been selling a lot of old pink depression glass, which in the eastern part of the United States, glass factories were abundant and there's a bunch of it.
Mhm.
But a lot of it didn't make it across the Rocky Mountains because most of what I've sold has been out like more on the West Coast. And it's weird how when you think about when they're trying to settle land west with wagons and horses over mountains, I wouldn't think a lot of glass would make it, right? Because
Mm.
it's been interesting to see how around here to try to sell it, it doesn't because there's so much of it. But when I put it online, I get orders from people like out in Nevada and Wyoming, and you know, it must not be as abundant out there.
No, I really think that that type of glass is more of a southern thing. I think it's a southern thing,
But my
and
point is, when we were an early country and settling, ha- like Little House on the Prairie, you
yeah,
know,
with a wagon and stuff like that. Yeah,
but
like
when you really think about those people trying to cross that terrain, having babies, you know, I mean, that
mhm,
was rough. That
I
was not,
know.
you know, any kind of easy task.
I think the babies were actually different though. I mean, not like, aliens and
Like they are now.
I know, like, I don't know what's coming out these days, but, but back then, from what I know, it was painful, and I think what is it what they call it, like a dually, where they sit in a thing of, like, a water, and it's easier for it to come out that way, like a
Yeah,
water, type situation, but I've seen it where they just tie like something just to bear and then grab on something
yeah,
and like push,
and by
I would have
themselves,
died.
by themselves, you know.
Yeah.
So, when you think about really what it takes for, I mean, we've just become so spoiled and soft, really,
Mhm.
as early settlers and just building the railroad, and you know these were very hardy, strong, gritty people with determination, and somewhere along the way we've gotten very lazy and
Well,
soft.
so that was the thing, it was the slavery, I mean, the robots back then, the task was, like, built off of slaves. I mean,
And you
like you
know where
said.
the first slaves were sold? I don't know if anybody knows this, but that is how Wall Street was built. They were
Mhm.
first selling human beings.
Yeah.
And so our stock market is also a huge illusion and manipulation. Um, so, and we'll start, if you were to study astrology and the economics of stock markets, you've already seen a lot of it go down and loss of value. And it's, we want it to implode. Don't get scared about that, because for it to build back better, it has to implode.
So what do you think about the stock market and how like everything is coming out like there's like that big talk about like, the gold standard and it
Yeah.
everything is still like intact.
Well, though I think behind the scenes some stuff had, I mean, I know some stuff has happened because Goldman Sachs laid off, you know, thousands of people. So there's a whole sort of reworking of our financial systems. But I think it has to be spoon fed to the general public because people freak out.
Mhm.
They've known one way, and to think any other way, they think it's a bad way, but yet, you know, it's got to get better because we've had so much corruption and deceit. The gold standard, who knows? I listen to a lot of those guys talk about what they think silver and gold will be worth, and they don't really know. I mean, silver might, I think it's like $20 an ounce now. They're calling for it to be anywhere from 500 to 3,500 an ounce.
Well, that's what I'm waiting on, but I mean, that might be until my kids are grown, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't think so. I
you
don't
think
think
it's gonna
so.
be around the corner?
Yeah, I do. I've
Mm.
already seen, you've already seen banks
I
closing.
saw gold go down $20 today. And I know we're going off topic, but like,
Well, Leo does rule gold, so
okay, well, Leo, are we gonna have an upswing this weekend or like
yeah,
on
Leo loves
Monday?
swing. Yeah.
Uh, I,
Um, I think that, we need to think of our independence from any kind of conglomerate, and that it may get a little rough with the initial transition, but, you know, we're tough as a human race. We've
mhm.
gotten soft, but I think when metal hits the road, we're very resilient and very creative. So just like, the different patents with being able to run a car on corn or, these different really cheap resources. Um, but it's all been sort of squelched by a section of corruption. So to see things implode to me implies that we're cleaning out the corruption, and that's what we want.
I've seen it trickle.
It's coming around slowly.
I've seen it. It's still slow, but I've seen it's finally coming around. So yeah, it is what it is.
We're going to be fine.
I think so. It's excruciating how slow
Well,
it's
and it's dealing with people who aren't awake.
Yeah, that's what I was going back, going off of about the lost souls. Like, I know that everyone has a soul and everyone is accounted for in that regards, but some are more advanced than others. I just have to put it like that.
It's really strange now that the diversity of people, it really is a study in and of itself, isn't it?
hmm Yeah. So, okay. So let's go ahead and go through the signs.
So any fire sign, Aries, Sagittarius, Leo, would be having a very lucky time for a Leo full moon. So fire signs would be in high energy, and we'll see what, if anything specific about Aries.
Oh, I have Dana, High Priestess.
Oh, Dana was my deceased brother's middle name.
Oh, okay.
I have the two of
Wands.
wands. So Aries is the pioneer. So this is the pioneer surveying his horizon to see, what's his next adventure. He's got the world as his oyster in his hand. For that name Dana to come up and connect to my brother on the other side would say that's the jack of all trades. That's somebody that has more talent than they know what to do with. Bored easily.
So this is the description, and it says you have divine knowledge that can help others through your spiritual teaching.
Ah, nice. Like it.
Yeah, so Aries, I mean, I guess, the choice is yours.
They definitely, would have success with new inventions, patents, um, something on the cutting edge, something no one else has done.
And possibly travel might be good for Aries.
Yes.
Hmm. Okay.
Aries is the first sign of the natural zodiac, so it represents children. And the thing about Aries is they age very youthfully. They never really grow up.
I know a few Aries, and yeah, I think that's a correct statement there.
They're compulsive. They
Yeah.
they go off and do things before thinking.
Hmm. Okay. So now we have Taurus,
And I have the Page of Cups.
and I have Guinevere.
Oh, I love Guinevere.
Yeah, true
True
love.
love. Taurus. Yeah, so we have Uranus in Taurus right now. I think it's going to be making a square to Venus sometime soon. So that would be sudden love, a revolution of love, or an evolution in an existing love.
Yeah, so it says the romantic stirrings in your heart have propelled the universe to deliver great love to you. That's a really beautiful energy for Taurus to have this weekend.
Taurus is extremely romantic and sensual and fine arts and velvet.
Yeah, my dad's a Taurus, so he was really emotional.
Is he stubborn?
Yeah, he's stubborn, but he loves too very deeply. It's just my mom being a Virgo. It's just shit. Like, you know what
Yeah,
I
they probably get in a power struggle.
Yeah. Well, my mom, she wears the pants in the family, but he loves her. I was like, okay.
Have you talked to her?
Oh, she's non emotional. That's why it's very difficult, and it could be because of her culture. She's Asian. But I've seen other Asians; they're very romantic, especially if you watch those romance movies and dramas. So it's just my mother. That's why when you're talking about how, like, we might be passed down like
Generational
generational karma,
patterns.
yeah, patterns. I'm like, really? Oh God, no wonder. That sucks. Yeah. But anyway, so now we have Gemini. Oh, I have Bast, independent.
Oh, and I have the Knight of Pentacles.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it says your independence is a foundation for your strength and success. So maybe Gemini, you're going the distance on this one. Maybe you have to take that lonely road for a while, or
Well, and Mars is in Gemini right now. So that, Gemini has that duality thing, doing two things simultaneously. So they could be working really hard. They could be, I want to say, really fighting for their boundaries.
I would say sticking up for themselves also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So next we have Cancer.
So I believe it's Vesta is an asteroid that's in Cancer right now. And that connects back to the mythology of the Vestal Virgins, that uh, their sole mission in life was to keep the eternal flame burning. So Cancer is all about home and hearth, keeping.
Well, Yeah, I have something similar to that. So I have Pele and Sekhmet, which
Oh,
is divine passion and be strong.
and I have the Page of Swords. So that's some intellectual, psychic energy there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this one says, be honest with yourself. What is your heart's true desire? And let's see here. And this one says, you are stronger than what you think you are, and your strength assures a happy outcome. So be strong about what you're passionate about. Maybe, they're feeling like a Leo, not feeling confident.
Well, and definitely trust your instinct and psychic inclinations because they're right on target.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, just keep going, Cancer. Follow your passion.
Yeah.
All right. So next we have Leo.
Leo and a Leo full moon. Cray, cray. Crazy, crazy, baby. Be dancing and singing and slapping paint around. And oh, I don't know. Might get into all kinds of weird projects like repurposing things.
Mm.
I dragged home an old piece of furniture recently to refinish.
Oh, are you done with that project?
It hasn't started yet. I just
Oh,
dragged it home.
well, for Leo, I have Sedna, infinite supply.
And this is the Seven of Pentacles. So, what are you going to do with your assets, Leo?
Oh, so much, right? And this one says, you are supplied for today and all of your tomorrow. So there's an infinite supply of your pentacles. I don't know what Leo is thinking, but you got it.
We got it going. Yeah.
Yeah, you got so many gold pentacles. I don't know why that dude is looking all sad. Like, how many more pentacles do you need?
Well, and it's like, I don't know.
It
What do
looks
you
like three
do?
more for the 10 of pentacles, right?
Yeah. It's like,
Leo's like, I need three more pentacles, damn
I,
it. Like,
I, how do I allocate my pentacles?
yeah. So next we have
So,
Virgo.
how that plays out in my head, being a Leo, is I have more jewelry than I could ever possibly use. And yes, I have been putting it on Etsy and trying to sell it. But do you think it keeps me from not bringing home more?
No.
It's just the weirdest thing. I'll just always come across.
Well, it's like, clothing. Once you wear it and you got your good use of it and it's like, gently used or whatnot, then
Yeah.
maybe someone else, would like it as much as you have. Yeah.
Well, I recently came across a huge clearance and came home with like a necklace and earrings. And I'm like, what am I doing? Well, I like it.
Uh-huh. Isn't that what you said earlier about making a decision, like, you're set on one thing, but then at the
Right.
last
Oh,
minute,
right.
like, you got, like,
Yeah.
diverted, like, "Oh,
Oh,
but look
what's
at
another
that."
necklace? They don't take up much space
Yeah, like,
till you
no,
have 3,000 of them or something.
so I think we're on
Virgo,
Virgo? Okay.
the magician.
So I have Bridget, don't back down. Don't back down. You have the
So,
ability to manifest.
so Virgo may be in the midst of a power move with the full moon.
Oh my god. So strong. Stand up for what you believe is right. So that's like the lion heart, right? Really sticking up for what you believe in, what you're passionate about. If you believe it in your heart, don't back down.
It's all about the heart.
Hmm. And do you
Follow
see
your
her?
heart.
It's on fire.
Yeah.
And she also has, it looks like, what is that?
That could be heartburn.
Heartburn. I forgot. Do you know what this symbol is? I know it's in some sort of culture. It looks like a cross. I
Is
don't
it
know.
like a Celtic cross?
I don't know. It's like a. I've seen it in some sort of historical context. I think it's like from a cultural thing, like Irish. Is it Irish?
I was going to say it's some kind of architectural. Um,
I
it
have
looks
to.
like a Celtic cross.
Yeah, but it's like a spindle. It looks like a swastika.
Oh
Almost.
yeah. Huh.
But regardless of the where it came from, don't back down. Okay, that's all I have for that. Okay, so next we have Libra. Wow. Huh. I have Artemis, Guardian.
Oh, and I have the devil.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So Artemis is the virgin huntress.
I can see that. Isn't that the one that goes up and down, like above and below, or no? Is that
No,
okay?
she was the virgin who was she competed with Apollo for being the best at the hunt. So you could say she pretty much found her balance with her masculine and feminine because she was very feminine, but she was also a hunter.
Mm-hmm.
The devil is bondage. So Libra, I want to feel like this is, breaking the chains of bondage.
Maybe Libra takes responsibility, kind of like that girl, like that friend of yours, like
Yeah,
how she self-sacrifices herself, um, to her detriment, not
right.
really necessarily helping her lover. She's really hurting herself. So,
It
it's
doesn't sound like the healthiest relationship. So,
yeah. Really think about it, Libra. Protect yourself. You come first.
yes.
All right. So
I
next
have
is
another friend who's an elderly Libran, and lately she has been very energetic. That's an air energy, a fire full moon that feeds the energy, right? Air and fire.
hmm
So air signs might feel more energized for the Leo full moon.
I know even for me I feel more energized, but I know I have Leo somewhere in my chart. It's just
Yes, you do.
I only
So
have one placement. Not like five.
King of Cups for Scorpio.
Oh, okay. Ooh, look at this. Lakshmi, bright future.
Oh, Scorpio. That's
Yeah. Stop worrying.
another
Everything is going to
psychic.
be fine in love. Like,
All right. Express yourself, Scorpio.
And Lakshmi is the goddess of good fortune, right?
Yes, and isn't she's connected to some kind of twin flame story too.
Mm-hmm. I see the elephants back there. I don't know if that's Ganesha,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, like everything is looking good. So don't worry, Scorpio.
Scorpios in their power.
Isn't it like they're in the South Node or something like that around this time?
Let's see. Um
Like not don't try to hold on, but really let go and let that
the
abundance.
South Node is in Scorpio. So that would be, resolving past lives.
Interesting. I feel like I'm doing that right now, to be honest.
At least acknowledging, past life information.
Mhm. Yeah, a lot has hit me this week, so I'm like, "Oh, nice to know."
Hit me again.
Yeah.
I can take it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, well, let me, put this in my little, list, like, print
Yeah.
it out and put it on my pile of
Put
junk
it
I
in
need
my
to.
crystal moon water.
Yeah.
Burn it. Write it
So
down and burn it. That would be a good thing to do this weekend is write down all the grief on your heart and burn the paper.
yeah, like a release.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good thing. I can do that.
And let the ashes blow in the wind.
Well, I don't know, it's really windy, so I might
Wait till their embers are out.
yeah,
Don't be starting any forest fires.
or, like, have black ash, like, stuck on, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
all over the place. So, next we have Sag, and I have Aphrodite.
Oh, and I have the Knight of Swords.
Ooh.
Oh, so like the lover may be rushing into Sag.
Yeah, I channeled that actually yesterday.
Cool.
Yeah, it was like "Marry Me." I think that was the title of the reading. So it says, "Awaken the goddess within you through dance, self-care, and appreciating your divinity." Wow.
All right, Sag. So far, you win.
Like, what are y'all having babies and stuff? Like, hurry up, but don't take your time. And is Aphrodite like a
That's
part of?
Venus.
Yeah, that's Venus energy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So, interesting.
yeah,
Well, Sag, I mean, looks like you got a hot date this weekend.
yeah.
Don't
And
hold
make
back.
one with yourself.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing also.
So we have Mercury and Pluto in Capricorn right now. So that's some interesting. That's like seeing new perspectives. That's rethinking how you look at your old wounds.
Yeah, yeah, I'll have to say that it wasn't like the best week, but yeah, there's a lot of clarity that's actually come to
Right,
mind is what it feels like to me.
right. And that's a
So,
good thing to get
yeah,
clear.
I'm embracing it. So I have two cards, and I have Rhiannon and Green Tara.
And I have the Hanged Man.
Oh
I'm
wow.
getting, I'm getting a lot of major arcana. Have you noticed that?
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So this one, it says sorceress, and it says you are a magical person who can manifest your clear intentions into reality and start delegating. And it
Ah,
says, what does it say? Ask others, including me, to help you instead of trying to do everything. I like that. So I have a problem with control. I
true
can
confessions.
Yeah, I can speak the truth. Like I like to do everything, but I know that doing everything is too much. But if I can learn to trust and to start delegating tasks to other people, then that I would be doing myself a service.
Well, and the Hanged Man mythology is all about manifesting that which is above and bringing it into the earthly plane, for the earthly pleasure here. And
Mhm.
connected to that is having the faith that that happens and believe in that.
Yeah, so everything happens. And isn't that the clarity, like hanging out for Capricorn, the clarity that y'all
Yeah.
need this week?
Yeah.
To start delegating tasks and
Yeah.
knowing that you have power to start, relying on other people and manifesting things that you want in your life. So that's good.
Chewbacca says, self serving announcement notice how Sunny isn't scratching her head, felt the need to remove the hat for 2 hours and isn't sweating. That's the power of merino wool and the quality of my work. I love it. You're right. This thing feels great. I mean, I don't have much hair, and when it's cold like this, I love having a hat on my head. So
It's really windy here, and
here,
it actually
let's give it a different look here. Let's see. How about
like that side.
or actually, I kind of like it like hanging down. Yeah, I like having it like swinging in the back there.
Man, I'm gonna be on a hat hunt
You are. You have to
after.
text me when you find it. I want to know where it is. I think Luna has hid it somewhere.
I don't know. I remember I wore it and then I had to take it off.
And where were you when you took it off?
I was at the grocery store and
Did you put it in a bag?
I'm thinking about that. Did I put it in a bag?
Like you had other things maybe you brought in and have a bag you haven't looked in?
You're gonna make me think because we recycle like we pay for our little bags when we go to the grocery
Oh,
store. It's 8 cents a bag.
that's
Can you believe it?
ridiculous.
Well, they're trying to do it so that people won't like be like so like abusing our resources, and
Do
so
you have the chain Kroger?
yeah. Well, yes, but it's not called Kroger. It's called Fred Meyer's here.
Because the Kroger here has announced that they're going to stop providing bags and you'll have to bring your own.
Yeah, we do it here, but it's more for environmental reasons. And I like it because I'm an environmentalist and I'm all for bringing my own bag.
I was thinking about that. I was like, how, I go in for one thing and come out with 15 things. So how would you gauge how many bags to have on you?
Well, at least one. My thing is always have one bag. If you have to buy another, then that's 8 cents. But
Geez.
I forget sometimes. But yeah. So now we have
Okay.
Aquarius.
Aquarius. Aquarius is going to have some shaking going on for sure. Oh, this came out. I like this.
Oh, we were talking about this. Mawu.
Mother Earth, humanity, new
Mm,
beginning,
look
having
at that.
faith in people, having faith in yourself.
Yeah, and you are
Loving a
called
little
upon
dog.
to help with environmentalism.
Yeah.
Bring your own bag.
Yeah.
She's got the world in her hands, though. Yeah, she has a world, and that fool has a flower.
Yeah. A new beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have a new, possibly a way to connect to Mother Earth. Maybe it's your time, like, maybe things are coming to you about how you can help, like the humanitarian aspect. And I really feel like the Aquarius might be the pioneers in actually bringing those ideas that
Yeah.
help people collectively.
Yes. Interesting. Very
Mhm.
interesting.
The other thing I'm also getting is that maybe it's time to like think about where you're living at because I see
Yeah.
the world and she's looking. She's like, where else should I go?
Right.
So, okay. So next we have Pisces.
Oh, poor Pisces.
What?
Ten of rods.
So much for major arcana. Oh man, look at this. We have siege, quiet time. Oh,
Oh.
I know, right? You're in timeout, Pisces. Like what?
Yeah.
It says, take some quiet time alone to rest, meditate, and contemplate.
That sounds
Maybe,
right.
Yeah, maybe Pisces, you're in two minds about a situation. You're just burdened. Like maybe you're so like in tune with everyone and you feel like you have to, I don't know. There's just too much going on upstairs.
Just rest this weekend, Pisces.
Yeah, and don't drink, just keep still and meditate.
Yeah.
Oh,
Enjoy nature. Yeah.
oh, Pisces, I'm sorry. Man. Is it
Well,
Pisces opposite? Oh, who's opposite of Leo? Who is
Aquarius.
Aquarius?
Yeah.
Okay, that's next door.
Pisces and Virgo are the opposition.
Uh, is that why my brother and my mom get along?
Could be. Yeah.
My brother knows how to,
Work it.
yeah. And she eats it up. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm like, well, how do you do that? It's natural for him. So okay. Well, does anyone else have like any kind of questions or comments for Sunny? No more
Get your
life.
hat. Get your hat from Chewbacca. It's a great hat.
Yeah, you guys should check it out.
How did you have it? You had it like really wide on one side and really skinny on another.
Yeah, yeah, you got it almost. Yeah,
I can't look at it and let's see.
you could tell like it better if you had like the reversible. Um, and I think that Shabaka said I had the Turk and you have the beanie.
Okay.
The beanie is the one that's longer and it has more space to like wiggle around. And the Turk is more taut.
You had it kind of sideways on your head the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could find it. I had it up here and it's
We're
not
going to find
here.
it as soon as we get offline.
I know. Let me just look down.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. Man. And I had like a bunch of like tarot and oracle decks that was gifted to me by Megan.
Nice.
Morgan, not Megan. Morgan. So the cards or the decks I used this week were gifts from Morgan. So
Nice.
if Morgan is watching, thank you, honey. She's gifted me plenty of decks that I've
What's
used
the
for the collective.
what's the best way to cleanse myself from other people's energy? So
Oh, there's a
Sylvia,
lot.
well, first you visit Scorpio Moon's website for her cleansing balms and salts. But
Mm-hmm.
Sylvia Brown had an exercise she would tell you when you leave your house every day, envision having a circle of mirrors around you with a mirror facing out because the negative energy would bounce off of the mirrors and not penetrate, but it would allow positive energy in. And I don't know your energy, but for a lot of heavy water signs, actually, bathing and showering literally cleanses your aura and negativity. Even making the conscious effort that the negativity is going down the drain, and set that intention, like you talk about with your um, bath products. So the first thing I would do is visit Scorpio Moon's shop because she has a lot of great salts and balms and things just for that cleansing energy. And
Yeah,
they're very
eczema.
reasonably priced.
Yeah, they're not expensive and I have sales going on. You
Right.
use your moon water in your bath. Yeah, that's one way of doing it. You can also do what is called an SRT, a spirit release therapy.
Mhm.
Um, the one that I use or go to is Andy Porter, and you can find links on scorpiomoonintuition.com. several people who can do the SRT work. That's actually one of the things that I plan to get back into because Dr. Palmer, who was the guy who taught the SRT, passed away. And so I was kind of like in midstream learning from the group. He was actually based in the UK. So hopefully this summer, I can get certified and I can do clearings for the collective. But I know the protocol. I've had many SRT sessions done, Teresa, and it has cleared my energy. And that is the reason why I created those spiritual baths. It really does help clear negative energies once you have a clearing. So it actually cuts the attachments, like, kind of like etheric attachments that you have to, and I know that this is a little woo woo, but aliens, ETs, dead people that's crossed over that are attached to your energy, things like that, people from your past. Um, and also, there's past life regression therapy that can actually help you with what's going on with the people that is currently being gravitated towards you at this time. So
So
there's
is
a lot
it
of different
from
ways.
2 years ago, 12 years ago, 20 years ago, the people from the past, from what part of the past? And I can try to tell you what planet's involved.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, the other ways, if you want to like kind of dive deep, you can get like a chart done with Sunny, and she
Yeah,
can be like, why is this happening?
right. It's some kind of return. Lovers will return. That's a 2 year Mars return. If it's like one of the major life ones, like Saturn, that happens around the age of 28 to 32, and then again in your 50s. Those are returns from 30 years ago. Um, Jupiter is 12 years. That's things from 12 years ago. It has something to do with Jupiter. When I read Moon Water, mhm.
When I read moon water, it doesn't mean moonlight infused water. It has to do with digestion. Sometimes I read stuff in my mind. Yeah, no, I do that too, honey. Oh,
Hmm.
Teresa, you lost 6 people. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the spirit release. Okay, so when these people cross over, I'm pretty sure that um they're hanging around. So there is that going on, and also the attachment. Because a lot of times when people cross over, they're not ready to let go of the material world, so to speak. Yeah, they won't leave you alone. Yeah, you need an SRT. That will actually help it, and you might have to get more than one session done. It's like one session isn't going to just like do it, but you'll notice a big difference. And within 1 to 2 weeks after getting that SRT, you're gonna feel weird. You're gonna feel like
Woozy.
woozy and icky and like but weird, but also light. Everyone's I guess detached clearing or whatever you want to call it is received a little bit differently. So yeah. So yeah,
So
guys.
death has a lot to do with Pluto.
Mhm.
And, this could all be from that Pluto Saturn conjunction and where uh, Capricorn is in your chart. And those are very difficult life lessons. I guess what comes to mind, because a lot of us have had a similar experience, losing a lot of loss in a short period of time. And one exercise a therapist gave me was a loss grief inventory, where you take a piece of paper and you draw a line horizontally, and anywhere in your life that you want to start, 1989 or whatever, the below the line, you put what did you lose? And when you think about it after that, something came to your life or some revelation about a thought pattern, or and you put that above the line. There's no real rules about this. You can do any part of your life. You, but the idea when you get to the end of it, of, thinking about this, like for every loss, what did you gain? And I know that's hard to look at it that way, but at the end of that, when I did it, it took me like 10 days. I'd have to put it down, pick it back up. And some of the things, like what was good about losing my mother, I couldn't think of anything good about that. But I did become closer to my father. So, it might not be what you expect. And in the end, the ultimate realization is that you're very resilient. And I know that's probably not award winning for oh, here, maybe it is. And on that note, Teresa, you get a blue ribbon. So, I mean, that might not be real rewarding to make those revelations, but there is purpose to our journey. And you'll also probably find down the road that you will help other people with their losses and processing their grief.
Right, and I think that's where she kept mentioning that she was going to school for, psychology.
Right. Right.
Mhm. So because
Well,
of those
loss grief
deaths, you have
inventory. Yeah, that was
yeah,
given to
something.
me from a psychologist. So
Mhm.
it's a real thing. I didn't make it up.
Yeah. Okay, let's see, is there anything else that, someone like to, maybe bring to our attention or any questions for Sunny? Again, if you guys wanna book a reading with her, linemountainhealing.com.
Yes, and I'm going to do a little extra article there. Something I was going to mention because we talk a lot about doing astrology classes, and I wanted to mention this because I've done it intentionally, but I've not talked about it. If you go to lionmountain.com, every single article teaches basic astrology as far as uh, sign, element, characteristics. And I was telling Scorpio Moon, I was in this closet a little while ago. I have this huge poster of the wheel, the natural wheel, and it shows, each house and the sign and the elements to it. And that's basically what I've put on Lion Mountain Healing are the basics. And if you're serious about studying astrology and memorize those signs, planets, and rulerships, you're well on your way, to practicing astrology with reading charts. And so,
Yeah, if you can take a picture of that wheel, I can probably, create a vector image of it.
okay, it's a
That
big poster,
Mhm.
and I have kept them. I have kept them. I know it's in the closet,
Okay, yeah.
but I have a desire to kind of keep a traditional practice of teaching astrology alive, even if the internet is full of electronic classes. It really is about people coming together, talking about it, and talking about charts together. And I've just kept forgetting to mention that, you know, those lunation articles every twice a month on my website are literally your basics to astrology. So um, that would get you started until we formulate something more. I don't know what platform, but anyway, something that we're going to do.
We can do it on this one.
Yeah.
There's a way where, we can do classes on this, by the way.
Okay. I
Yeah,
didn't know if it was like Zoom or something like that. But
Yeah, the Zoom is one thing, but I already have access to this, and we can talk about this while we're not live, about how you can do those courses. But if you want to do Zoom, you definitely can. It's just whatever you're really comfortable with.
what is Chewbacca saying here? One card for my chain. I'm just so intrigued by it. I really never bought that thing. Is
Oh
she
yeah,
wanting you to pull a card?
yeah. I'll pull one too. All right, Shabaka. One card for Shabaka and the chain. What does the chain? What is the meaning behind the chain, Spirit? Oh, Shabaka. Look what I have. Cordelia, go outside. It says, you have been indoors too long. Go outside and get some fresh air. And I know what you're going to say. It's too freaking cold to go outside.
And I got two cards. I got Seven of Cups and Temperance.
Oh,
So
that is so
I
weird.
would say maybe whatever inspiration that chain has given you, first would be patience and balance to sort out or navigate all your different choices.
And maybe go out for some fresh air and get that meditation going on
Yeah.
to get clarity.
So the chain is simply the language that binds you from reaching your goals.
hmm You know, there's that thing where it's
Ah,
like,
that's right, the P word, patience. Well, there it is, right there. I didn't make it up.
hmm you have the temper.
This is
Uh,
also your guardian angels, right? Calling in divine guidance and help for you to navigate your goals and dreams.
Mm. Oh, yeah, and that's so strange because she was talking about she was dreaming about her twin, and that is when this chain appeared. And she didn't buy it. She found it. Like it was in her house, and she don't know why. It was the strangest thing.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, go out and into the cold, brave the cold.
What will
Um,
be interesting is when you find a purpose for that chain, like, you know, around here, when there's a storm or something, you would maybe use a chain to secure some um, stuff outside, or, like a broken door to an outdoor building, or
I was thinking something naughty. It was like little things that you could just cuff onto your girls down there. One on each side, but the chain is too short for that.
I was going to say the chain's too heavy. That sounds
Oh,
painful.
it's a wrist chain.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's a
wrist chain.
dainty little chain. It's not a big.
Oh,
Mhm.
I'm having like chain link chain in my
Now, let me
brain.
see if I could pull it up real quick here.
A little dainty chain.
Let's see.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Dainty chain is more like a piece of jewelry.
Yeah, it is. Here it is.
So that's can also be used like an extender, like to
That's what I
extend.
was thinking about. Like, if you had like
No,
piercings on the nipples and
no. I
stuff,
was
like
talking about, I don't have, so like if you had a chain for your neck that was too short, those two hooks go to either end to make it longer. A chain extender.
yeah, I don't think she wanted an extension. I think the first interpretation was what she thought of too. It was about having the ability to unhook herself from something that she is no longer interested in
Yeah,
being hooked onto.
kind of like the red cord.
Mhm. It would break. Yeah.
That's a good point Teresa makes. It's probably a sign from your lost one. You know, people on the other side can manifest physical articles here in this plane.
Mhm. Kinda like
Very
a
interesting.
yeah. Okay. So, is there anything else for the collective?
I'll give it
Mhm.
one more look here. So now we're not going to have any turning up. Wait a minute. Like, yeah. Wait, this is really long. This is kind of like the nightcap of Scrooge and the Christmas Carol. Only it's not white.
Now you can put a vision in my head.
I love it. You made my winter. I wear it
Mhm.
every day. It's really warm.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I will tell you, it's the first beanie that I've worn like to my day job. Like I wouldn't normally wear, sometimes I wear a ball cap, but I really like this thing and it's
Oh,
warm.
really? I can't see you wearing a ball cap.
I wear a ball cap all the time.
Oh, do you?
Yes, it has the manufacturer of a gun manufacturer on it.
Oh, okay.
I like to display my Second Amendment rights.
Damn, girl, what the hell? I
Pull
didn't know
under
you
the
had it in
back to
you.
pull the top. What?
Pull
Pull
under the
under the
back to
back
pull
to
the
pull the
top
top
down.
down.
Oh, to make it more
Uh,
stand
uh,
up-ish.
you mean like that? I really like what you did with yours, Scorpio, man. You kind of had it. You
Yeah,
had it styling, yeah. You had it kind of sideways on your head.
yeah. I actually
This
I
sweet
wear my
Teresa,
hats like
thank you.
that has like a lip to it.
Right.
It's like my signature way of wearing hat.
Pretty colors yours was too, and I love this color.
Mhm.
I
Yeah, I
hope
love
you have time, and I think you're going to be making a bunch of these.
Oh, yeah, I saw that she had a big order, like 30 of them.
Wow, that's awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, and I hope you have plenty more because 'cause they're awesome. Well, thank you, Teresa. Passed away, one in 2003 and one in 2019. Oh, man, that sucks. She's lost a love 2 times.
You can always love again. It's just a matter of your
Well, that
choice.
would three's times the charm, right? If you wanna think about it positively.
We sometimes have a sick sense of humor. You know what I mean?
Well, sometimes you have to laugh at, the things that are very, hurtful or
Yes.
difficult, you know. What's that thing? Turn that frown upside down.
Yeah. I'm 6 short of done knitting that order. Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're working on it still. You do have to laugh. Yeah, you do. You have to find joy, because you don't wanna, wallow in your
Never
salt
send me your
sorrows.
birth data. I'd be happy to do your chart for you in exchange for your beanie.
Oh, Shabaka. I think she did. I saw it.
You did?
Yeah, I saw we got, what's that? A shared message thing. I saw the
Had birth
information.
date in it? Oh, I
Yeah.
apologize. I looked right over it.
Oh,
I will
damn.
go back and look through that again. I
Run
am so
run it
sorry.
again, Shabaka,
Yeah,
because sometimes it's hard for me to, look through my emails. I got a lot going on in my email box.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I would have done it by now.
I
Um,
know that her birthday is, I think, December 22nd. I just don't know what time. She said her dad said 12-ish or s isn't that right, Shabaka? She asked her dad, he was like, And so she has an average.
I
I think
blew
it's
right
12.
by that. I apologize. I will go back through there because I kept thinking, oh, where's her birth data? So I'm glad you said that. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I had a glimpse, but I don't. I'm just going off of memory.
Yeah, I will get it done.
Come on in, honey.
Where did she go?
She's right here. She's been waiting on me. Look at
Okay,
this.
that's very good. That's fine. That's close enough. Oh, Luna. How's little Luna tonight?
She's like,
I like her color.
me
Oh,
too.
here. Let's see. Hold on. And city and state.
Quebec. Was it? No. I think it was a different French. Like Canada. It's somewhere in Canada. Girl, help me out, honey.
Yeah, the place on the globe where the grand event happened.
She's like Roxy. Is that one of your dogs
I
before?
like her color.
Oh yeah, he said between 12 and 1.
I see that. Okay, there we go.
Oh, Saint
Oh,
Jerome.
Saint Jerome. Gosh, that's kind of a weird synchronicity for me. Uh, Jerome, that name is very significant for me. That's awesome. I will do that this weekend. I feel bad that I missed it, but
You smell like brownies.
brownies.
I know. She shouldn't be smelling like chocolate. Why do you smell like chocolate?
She is so cute.
She smells me too. And then when she does on the exhale, she
You're
throws
welcome.
like her snot on me, like, and it's so gross. The one who slept with you on your birthday. Oh,
Aw. Well, I need to get to my little boys.
oh yeah. They need a pee break, don't they?
Yes, yes. And I want to thank everyone for your time this evening. I hope there's been something of value you can take with you in the next few weeks. We have a new moon in Pisces on the 19th, and I'm going to be putting together something more about the month of March here, too. So check with lionmountainhealing.com. And if you're interested in beginner astrology, just scroll through those articles and you'll see the basic information for every sign because that
Do
was
you
kind
want
of
me to?
how.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Do you want me to put a sign up on your website for people who are interested in the course? And so whenever
Oh, that
um,
would be great. Give me an idea of,
how
yeah,
many people are
how to
interested,
prepare. That would be great.
okay, I'll do that this weekend too.
All right. We're getting all organized.
Yeah, that's what this energy is all about.
Yes.
You're welcome, honey, and thank you again for your lovely
Yes.
gifts.
Yes. We're going to have a good weekend. Dance, create, be happy.
Mm, okay. So thank you all for being present. And again, if you guys want to book a reading, linemountainhealing.com. And also she has an Etsy. I think it's, let's see, let me read it.
Line-
Etsy.com/shop/Line Mountain Relics.
Yeah.
Hats, charts, and websites. I
You
know.
got it.
That's the
That's how
magic
we
combo.
roll around here, right?
And
And
pug.
dogs. Don't
Yeah.
forget the dogs
Who let the
and the
dogs
kitty
out?
cats and all the other fur animals.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, guys. So thank you. And thank you, Sunny,
Thank
for
you, Scorpio Moon. We'll be in touch. You call me over the weekend if you need anything.
okay. Well, no, I'ma lay low, but um yeah, if I update something, then I'll let you know about that.
Yeah, and I hope everything works out with your mom and dad.
Yeah, pray for them, I guess. I hope it'll be okay.
It will.
I told my dad, I said, "Can't you hold out for 10 more years?" "I don't think I got it in me." And I was like, "Okay." I said, "Well, can you help me out with a house?" He said, "Well, we talked about it when I come back." He says, "I don't think I can handle staying in Korea for all that time." Yeah, because 'cause they're not even there yet. They're still in Guam, and so it's like that's his home, and he's having a crap time, you know.
Life's too short for that.
I know, and he was planning on that trip for a hot minute, like, for a long time,
Yeah.
and he thought it was gonna be him and my mom, and there's a place in Guam, it's called Two Lovers Point. It's like a little romantic place where back in the day, you know, the daughter was, I guess, a daughter of a chief on the island, and he wanted his daughter to marry like someone of a higher status, like a
Right?
Spaniard or something like that, someone that wasn't from the island. And she didn't want to be with that higher ranking officer guy. So she wanted to be with the island boy, you
Yeah.
know?
The Cabana boy.
Yeah. And so like so they decided to jump off, they tied their hair together and they jumped off the cliff and they died together.
Spent eternity together. You know,
Mhm.
yeah, there's a lot of different versions of a similar story. I don't know if y'all know what I mean about Blue Willow China, but it's a pattern that's blue and white on China, and it's a bridge. It's Asian, it's a bridge, and it's three figures. And it's the father, his son, and the young lady the son's in love with that the father doesn't want him to be involved with. And over the bridge are two doves. And that's how you know when it's an authentic pattern. And the mythology behind that pattern is that the two lovers jumped off the bridge and became the birds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
How
yeah,
romantic.
we're very, see, Leo will bring the romance out in you. You can't help it.
I know, honey.
All righty. Well, I'm going to go let my dogs out and we'll reconvene shortly. And Chewbacca, I'll have something in your email here before the end of the weekend. I appreciate everything you've done. And
Suicide pacts aren't romance.
hey, it depends on your perspective, you know?
Yeah. I was like, "I'll die for you." "Me
Yeah,
too. Let's jump
yes,
together."
yes.
As they fly into, like, the air, looking
Yes.
at each other's eyes and then
Internal,
die.
eternally. They're eternally together.
Alright, guys. So I'll let you guys go. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
See you later, Luna.
Bye.